January 2013. Somewhere in downtown Los Angeles, hotel guests are brushing their teeth, making coffee, and showering, completely unaware of what's floating in the water tanks above their heads. For 19 days, nobody knew. This is the story of Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old student, a haunted hotel, an elevator video that broke the internet, and a series of unanswered questions that will never fully go away. Welcome to Buried Threads. Let's dig. Before she became a mystery, Elisa Lam was a person. Born in Vancouver, Canada, to parents who had immigrated from Hong Kong, Elisa was a student at the University of British Columbia. She was bright, introspective, and deeply open about her life. She ran a blog called Ether Fields on Blogspot, where she wrote about fashion, books, and her mental health. Elisa had been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. She wrote honestly about the weight of it. In a January 2012 post, she described how a relapse had forced her to drop classes, leaving her feeling, in her own words, utterly directionless and lost. She was someone fighting hard to build a life, despite something that kept pulling her back. In January 2013, she decided to take a solo trip down the California coast. San Diego first, then Los Angeles, then Santa Cruz. Her family was worried about her traveling alone, so she made them a promise. She would call them every single day. For a while, she kept that promise. On January 22, 2013, Elisa began her solo West Coast trip. She started in San Diego, where she visited bookshops and tourist spots, posting photos to her Tumblr with captions that sounded excited and hopeful. She seemed well. She seemed happy. She took the train up to Los Angeles 4 days later. The Cecil Hotel was a budget choice, around $65 a night. She likely found it through a travel booking site. The listing didn't mention Richard Ramirez. It didn't mention the suicides. It didn't mention the 18 deaths. It described itself as a boutique hotel in a vibrant downtown neighborhood. Elisa checked in on January 26th with a single backpack. The front desk staff later told investigators she seemed perfectly normal, pleasant, quiet, traveling alone. She had 5 days until her checkout date. She would never check out. On January 26, 2013, Elisa checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. And if there is any place on Earth with darkness baked into its walls, it's the Cecil. Built in 1927, the Cecil sits on the edge of Skid Row, one of the most impoverished and crime-ridden areas in America. Over its nearly century-long history, the Cecil has been the scene of multiple murders, suicides, and unexplained deaths. At least 18 sudden and mysterious deaths have been recorded there as of 2021. It was the last known address of serial killer Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, during his 1985 murder spree. Another serial killer, Jack Unterweger, stayed there in 1991 while murdering 3 women. The hotel had tried to clean up its image. They rebranded part of the building as Stay on Main, marketing it toward younger, budget-conscious travelers. Elisa was booked under this newer section. The brochure didn't mention the history. Former general manager Amy Price later said the hotel received thousands of 911 calls during her decade working there. Domestic abuse, stabbings, people jumping from windows. One former resident said, "If you didn't watch yourself, you might be flying out the window without wings." This is where Elisa Lam was staying. Almost immediately after arriving, things started going wrong. Elisa was initially placed in a shared room on the 5th floor. Within 2 days, her roommates complained about what the hotel's own lawyer would later describe as certain odd behavior. She was leaving handwritten notes on their beds that said, "Go home" and "Go away." She would lock the door and require a password for entry. She was moved to a private room. A few days before she vanished, Elisa attended a live taping of the Conan O'Brien show in Burbank. Security escorted her out for disruptive behavior. At some point during her stay, she reportedly stood in the middle of the Cecil lobby and announced that she was crazy. Investigators later pieced together what was likely happening. Elisa's toxicology report would reveal she had taken some, but not all, of her prescribed bipolar medications. She had taken a stimulant that day, but not her mood stabilizer, and not her antipsychotic. Her family later confirmed to detectives that when Elisa stopped taking her full medication regimen, which had happened several times before, she would experience hallucinations and would hide in small spaces for safety. She had been hospitalized at least once in this state. Despite all of this, she was still calling her parents every day until January 31st. That was the day she was supposed to check out of the Cecil and leave for Santa Cruz. That was the last day anyone heard from Elisa Lam. When Elisa didn't call, her parents contacted the LAPD. Police searched the hotel. They checked her room, used dogs, walked the rooftop, and found nothing. For 2 weeks, there was no sign of her. Then, on February 13th, 2013, the LAPD made a decision. They released the last known footage of Elisa Lam, a 2.5-minute clip from a security camera inside one of the Cecil's elevators. The video went viral almost instantly. In the footage, Elisa is wearing a red hoodie and dark shorts. She enters the elevator and begins pressing multiple floor buttons. Not just one, but several, like she's trying to get the doors to close as quickly as possible. The doors don't close. She peers into the corridor, left, right, left again, as if watching something. She steps out, steps back in, presses herself into the corner. Then she steps back into the hallway and begins moving her hands in slow, fluid gestures, almost like she's having a conversation with someone who isn't there. Then she walks out of frame. The elevator doors finally close. Elisa is gone. The internet became completely obsessed. Reddit threads ran to thousands of posts. YouTube analysis videos racked up millions of views. People noted she appeared to be hiding. People noted the elevator wasn't moving. People noted her hand gestures looked ritualistic. A paranormal theory spread that she was communicating with a ghost. A murder theory spread that someone was just out of frame, watching her. Investigators eventually identified a mundane explanation for at least one mystery. Elisa had pressed the door hold button, a button that keeps elevator doors open for up to 2 minutes. No one was controlling the elevator from outside. She had simply pressed the wrong button. As for her hand movements, forensic psychiatrists who reviewed the footage said the gestures were consistent with psychosis. She may have been responding to hallucinations. But here's the thing. No explanation makes the footage less disturbing to watch. Because whatever was happening inside Elisa's mind in that elevator, she was clearly terrified. And within 24 hours of being in that lift, she was dead. For 6 more days after the video was released, Elisa was still missing. Then the water started tasting wrong. Guests at the stay on Main began complaining. Low water pressure, a strange color coming from the taps, an unusual taste. On February 19th, 2013, a maintenance worker climbed to the roof to inspect the 4 large water tanks that supplied the hotel. He opened one of them. Inside, he found Elisa Lam's body. She was naked. Her clothes, her room key, and her watch were floating in the water beside her. Her phone was never found. For 19 days, the hotel's water supply had been flowing through that tank. The coroner performed an autopsy on February 21st. The results were initially inconclusive, but after full toxicology results returned, the Los Angeles County coroner ruled her death an accidental drowning, with bipolar disorder listed as a significant contributing factor. There was no evidence of trauma, no signs of assault, no indication of foul play. The ruling was accidental, but the questions didn't go away, and they're not unreasonable questions. To reach those water tanks, Elisa would have had to access the roof. The door to the roof was kept locked and alarmed. The only other option was the external fire escape, which also triggers alarms. Hotel staff say no alarms were triggered that night. Once on the roof, she would have had to climb a 10-foot ladder bolted to the side of the tank. At the top, she would have needed to open a heavy metal lid, alone. Then climb inside, and the lid was closed when her body was found. There was no ladder left leaning against the tank. There is no confirmed explanation for how the lid was shut from the inside. The most plausible explanation, according to investigators and forensic pathologists, is that Elisa was in a severe manic or psychotic episode and may have believed she was hiding from a threat, climbing into the tank the same way she used to hide under her bed at home during previous episodes. The lid question has never been fully resolved. It is entirely possible she died alone, by accident, because of an illness that wasn't being properly managed. And yet, we can't say that with complete certainty. There is one more layer to this case that most people miss entirely, and it may be the most haunting part of all. Elisa kept a Tumblr blog. She had been posting to it for years, books she loved, fashion she admired, cities she wanted to visit, and deeply personal reflections on her mental health. After her death, the blog kept updating. Elisa had scheduled posts in advance, a feature on Tumblr that cues content to publish automatically on future dates. So, for weeks after she died, her blog continued to post as if she were still alive. Photos she had chosen, captions she had written. One post appeared 11 days after her body was found. It spoke about feeling like she was finally on the edge of something new, about being ready. She had no idea those words would be read after she was gone. Her Tumblr still exists today. Her writing is still there. Her voice is still there. In one post from 2012, she wrote about how she sometimes felt invisible, like she was watching the world from behind glass, present but unseen. There is something unbearable about reading that now. Elisa Lam was not a mystery. She was not a cipher. She was not a puzzle to be solved on Reddit at 2 a.m. She was a 21-year-old woman who wrote about books and cities and the particular loneliness of being young and trying to figure yourself out. She deserved better than what the internet did with her story, and she deserved better than what happened on the roof of the Cecil Hotel. Here's the part of this story that often gets left out. While internet sleuths were obsessing over the case, they decided they had found the killer. His name was Pablo Vergara, a Mexican death metal musician who went by the name Morbid online. He had posted a video from the Cecil Hotel just days before Elisa disappeared. The internet went after him with everything they had. Death threats. His YouTube channel, email, and Facebook were all deactivated. He nearly died by suicide. Pablo Vergara did not kill Elisa Lam. He was in Mexico the day she died. Hard evidence confirmed it. And there's one more strange detail that fed the conspiracy theories. One that means nothing from a crime investigation standpoint, but everything for the mythology of this case. Days after Elisa's body was found, there was a tuberculosis outbreak near the hotel. The medical test used to diagnose it was called the LAM ELISA test. Elisa Lam's name reversed. Coincidence. That's all it is. But cases like this don't run on facts, they run on feeling. As journalist Josh Dean said in the Netflix documentary, people who loved Elisa see this case very differently to the internet. For them, it isn't a puzzle, it's hell, it's their daughter. Elisa Lam died on January 31st, 2013. She was 21 years old. She was someone's daughter, someone who blogged about bookshops and documented her life and fought every day against an illness that too many people still dismiss. The Cecil Hotel has since closed its doors to guests permanently. The elevator footage still exists. Her Tumblr still exists. Her story still exists. And the lid of that water tank, how it closed, remains unexplained. This got under your skin. Subscribe for more cases. We dig up what others bury.